This video is for people who have watched Evan Alberto's tutorial of his two-handed cut pearl made with Fontaine cards. If you haven't watched it, you may not understand what I'm going to talk about. My name is Raeivet, and I've been doing Cardistry for about 2 months. I've spent the last week or so learning and practicing pearl. At first, I found the move difficult and frustrating, but I was able to figure out each mistake I made after spending some time rewatching Evan's performance and analyzing my own movements. Once I felt happy with my execution, I first thought about making this video. Drilling the move and nailing it was fulfilling, but right away I wanted to share what I learned. And so, here are my tips on getting the move down. I will share with you the problems I faced, what I was doing wrong, and how I came to fix them. If you are like how I was, struggling with the trick, or want to do it cleaner, hopefully my experiences and advice can help you achieve the performance that you want. The opener is the easiest part to master. You might have noticed in Evan's performance, something you can do to add flair is extend your main hand's thumb out to emphasize this swing. If you're dropping the packet during the opener, you should practice this movement at a slower pace. After you repeat this for a while, you'll feel out the grip you need for this. As you practice slowly, you should also practice the regrip. I found it best to place the ring finger at the middle of the long edge, aligning it with your thumb on the other side for the best stability. If you don't align your finger and thumb, you're more likely to drop the packet in the next part. Finally, when you split the deck, you don't need to split it open much. You just need enough for the next part, the swivel. This phase of the move is what I had the most trouble and frustration with. I had a problem where I couldn't get the sweeping packet to rotate all the way into my hand. Near the end of its arc, it would come into contact with my fingers, not landing in the grip as Evan did. To compensate, I would first try to curl my wrist and push through. However, this movement was too awkward and slow, ruining the flow of the move. This push through would also affect the stability of the bottom packet held by the ring and thumb. Most of the time, I would end up dropping this packet. After experimenting, I realized that I wasn't swiveling and rotating the packets enough. Using your index and thumb, and even your wrist of your main hand, you can rotate the top packet to prepare the perfect alignment. Without the extra packet, this is what the main hand looks like when you finish the sweep up. Hopefully this can help you understand what you need to aim for. An extra thing to note is the exact placement of the sweeping packet against your index finger. Where your finger rests on the edge of the packet and how deep it is along the length of your finger can affect the cut. We'll come back to this in a moment. One other mistake I made during this phase was I held on to this idea that I needed to hold every packet with the tips of my fingers, and that packets being closer to the palm would give the move bad flow or form. But once I figured out the swivel, this no longer became a concern. When performing the sweep, you can see that I'm actually supporting the bottom packet using my palm, pinky, and ring finger. First, we'll talk about the cut. I don't have much experience with this type of cut motion, and I ended up hurting myself in such a way where I would practice the move over and over, and the edge of the packet would scrape against the skin of my index finger. After practicing for some time, I noticed my finger starting to bruise, and really, my execution of the cut was incorrect. I tried flipping the bottom packet around first. Knowing what movement injured me, I paid attention to the sensation that my finger felt, and avoided every movement that hurt my finger. Soon, I realized that I needed to focus on rotating the top packet and getting my index finger out of the way. You can see here the motion that my thumb makes when pulling the packet. And here you can see the motion my index finger makes to avoid as much friction as possible. Be careful with this index finger movement to avoid dragging out a single card with friction. I recommend practicing the cut without the third packet to get more vision and get familiar with this movement. As mentioned before, the placement of the packet when you catch it can make a slight change in how this cut feels. The closer your finger is to the edge of this packet, and the closer the packet is to your tip of your finger, the less overall movement and friction you go through. I always tried to match Evan's performance. and upon practicing I tried different ways. Here you can see a cut where I drop the packet down and then bring it all back up, and another cut where you push the bottom packet on top. I believe I most often prefer the latter, but I'm still trying both every day. The last sweep goes around your thumb, much similar to the first one. The things to note here are how far your sweep goes and how fast you perform. Make sure that you don't rotate the packet too much or else it won't line up correctly for the closer. The angle of your main hand's wrist and thumb can also affect the way this looks. It can look more horizontal or more vertical. Because there's two things happening at once, the timing of which you start and finish, and the duration of each movement can affect the look of your closer. You could start the cut first, or the sweep first, and you can start the motion one right after the other, or 1 second later. And you can rotate your wrist later or sooner. I found that I liked starting the cut first while my palms are still face down and I'm re-gripping the last packet. It's probably best understood if you just watch me do it. To recap, sweep out and re-grip for stability, swivel more so you can catch the packet, and time your closer for the best performance. Thanks Evan for creating this trick, and to my friends for reminding me that my hands aren't too small for cardistry.
But I don't think she was going to agree.
Oh yeah, that's probably what happened.
So she just didn't agree.
Wait. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. This is 2 times? Oh, it's not hot anymore.
That's good.
Bro.